This is Dan Rogers, your host on We the People Town Square, coming to you from the center of the universe, the high plains of Texas, near the headwaters of the Prairie Dog Town Fork of the Red River. Today is January the 17th, and today we're here with Rick Cooper, who's running for the Randall County Commissioner, Place 1. Rick, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah. Let's tell the voters of Randall County Precinct 1 a little bit about yourself and why you chose to throw your hat in the ring for commissioner.
Sure, yeah. So, Janie and I have lived in Randall County for 30 plus years and raised two kids, mostly in Precinct 1. We lived in Timber Creek Canyon, and now we live in the canyons at Curry Ranch. Raised two kids, have 5 grandkids. Most of them do live in Precinct 1 also, but they all live in Randall County. I coached basketball over at WT for 20 years professionally. That's what I did. That was my job. Went back to Wayland in 2014 as the athletic director down in Plainview, and stayed there for about 6.5 years. And then a good friend of mine got the job, the men's basketball job at Texas Tech, and I went with him as chief of staff for the men's basketball program there at Texas Tech. So did that for a couple of years, and I'm fully retired now. Why did I throw my hat? Well, family is the main thing. I've lived there. That's home for us. That's very, very, very important to us. Like I said, we raised our family there. We've got friends, our neighbors. When I look at this position, I really look at it as an opportunity to, represent the people that I drive by every day, or that I pass by when we walk past them. I feel like in some shape, form, or fashion that I have been representing this part of the country, Canyon, Randall, Amarillo, in public setting as a basketball coach. I know that's not the same thing. I'm not trying to draw an analogy there, but I'd be honored to do it again in the role as a Randall County Commissioner. But the other thing that has to be said about this is I'm not running against an incumbent. Rusty Carnes has decided not to seek re-election, so that created an open seat and a need there that I'd really like to be able to fill.
What's the role of the county commissioner?
Really good question. And what I did and I get asked that question quite a bit, what does a county commissioner do? And really the first thing I did when I heard that Rusty wasn't going to run, obviously, it's a family decision when you decide to run for something like this. So went back, talked to the kids, talked to Janie, did what everybody does, prayed about it. And then after that, after we decided that was something that we wanted to do, it was really to find out exactly what does that entail. So I guess in short, the role of a county commissioner is to work with the other county commissioners and the county judge on the court. It's a great deal of budget work to fund the various departments. It has, it's a touch point for the citizens where roads are concerned. It's to assist with budget items as far as procurement of goods and even services that the county needs to handle. It's also running elections. I think that's part of it. There's an election component of it. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I stood here and told you I knew everything about what it means to be a county commissioner, because I just don't. And I'm hoping I get the opportunity to find out what that is. But every position I've ever taken, there was always a little bit more to it than what I actually thought there was to it or knew that there was to it. But it's an important position, a very important position, I think, to not just to all the residents of the county. And I'm learning more and more about it every day. I don't want to, don't want to monopolize the mic right here, but the first thing I did when, I started scheduling meetings with the department heads to really talk to the people that are at the point of the spear, as far as what the issues are from their viewpoint. And I know that's not all of it, because the citizens have, I'm actually doing that too as we're knocking on doors. But I got to meet with most of the department heads, spent time with Sheriff Forbes, spent a couple hours at the sheriff's office, was out at the High Plains Youth Center to, get their all viewpoints on what was going on in the county. Spent time with Chief Cook at the Randall County Fire Department, and to ask them how they interact with the county commissioners. So I'm learning a lot every day. It is it's a complex position there, but I think to boil it down, the easiest thing to say is, and this is what everybody says, it's a lot of roads, it's a lot of budget, it's a lot of representing the county and representing the people in the county.
So in all your discussions with voters and the department heads, what's bubbled up to the top as being one of their primary concerns?
Well, I think that one of the things we're seeing in Randall County, and I may be speaking a little bit out of turn right here, because I'm having to you're kind of getting it secondhand, but I think one of the issues in our county is the explosion of growth in Randall County, and that changes things sometimes. I think when we were out at the extension, and we had a chance to visit with the Randall County Extension agents, and they have programs designed for the population to assist in everything from canning goods to gardening to just go down the list. Really good programs, great things going on out there. And so, but a lot of our ranch land, I think, is being sold for development. And I think that's a change that we're beginning to see. We have a great place to live, a great place to work, with a low tax rate. That's a good thing, something we want to keep. But that encourages people to move here. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing an influx of people. And I think some of what was normally ranch land and maybe programs designed for ranchers are changing and need to change to maybe a different type of population, maybe more the homeowner or the small 5 or 10 acre, landowner. But I think that's part of it. Water is always an issue, and will always be an issue for us here. That's going to take a lot of people a lot smarter than me to step in and with ideas to assist in that area. But I think those two are the main ones. We want to keep we want to improve our roads. I feel like there's 800 miles of roads in Randall County. About a third of them are paved. About a third of them are cliche, I think. And about a third of them are just dirt roads. And we want to improve that and improve those roads toward the population. And then, so I think there's some really good things that are going on in the county right now. And I think our county commissioners are doing a great job. And I think our department heads, generally speaking, are doing a great job. I mean, I'll tell you what I found out, Dan, more than anything else, how ignorant I really am about the good things that are occurring in Randall County, in the county offices and with the people that work there. And for someone that's lived in the county as long as I have, and that has raised his family in the county, like Janie and I have, it's a little bit of appalling. So I'm trying to correct that, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about the great things that are going on here.
Well, I think it's my understanding that Randall County only has about $40 million in debt. Have you checked on that? I
don't know a lot about that. I haven't had the budget in front of me. I think it's. I think that debt. I think that debt is far below what it is allowed to be, I guess, or encouraged to be by the state of Texas.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller than Potter County for sure.
Yeah, so I think that, I think they're taking steps I think the current county commission and the county is taking steps to pay that off. And I think that's a really good thing. That's something we should be very proud of, I think.
Yeah, ideally you should have no debt.
So that's how we try to live our life. And I agree with that. I want to debt, people say there's good debt, there's bad debt. I don't know. Janie and I have kind of taken the philosophy that we don't want any debt at all personally. And I know that's a good thing, if you can do that, but I don't think the debt situation in Randall County, I think it is $40 million. But I don't think I think it could be in a lot of places it's much higher than that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I mean, ideally, I'm just listening to myself saying only 40 million because I'm used to, talking about other counties that are just way out of line.
Did you ever think?
To me, you shouldn't have any debt at the county level.
Did you ever think you'd hear yourself say only 40 million? No,
and I'm sitting here thinking, I thought I almost owe more than that. I'm like, wow, maybe I need to pay off some debt. So if you're using it for productive capacity and it's self-liquidating,
yeah.
That's one thing, but government is never self-liquidating. Mm-mm. It's always a drag on the economy. It's a drag on the taxpayers.
And that's a great point. I mean, we have to be aware of that. I have never served I've worked for the government. I worked at West Texas A&M University. I worked at Texas Tech University, but we've got to understand that's someone else's money. We're spending somebody else's money, and
mine.
Yours, exactly. Mine too. And if you're a taxpayer, I think you want people who understand that and don't do that willy-nilly. And I think also I don't think you can fool people in West Texas. I mean, if there is a real need, and it's explained well to our voters, at least that's been my experience with them, and to our friends, neighbors, and even myself, it's explained well. Then we'll pay what needs to be paid. Don't want to pay $1 more, but don't really want to pay $1 less and have lesser services. So I think if it's a true need, that's a big difference than a want. It is a big difference. It is. That's right. And that's sometimes where the really hard decisions come into play. And because what looks like, in my life anyway, all I really do is speak for myself. There's some things that I thought were needs that at the end of the day turned out to be just wants.
Yeah. If you can afford it and have extra money, maybe. But to me, at the government level, that money should be returned to the taxpayers, to the voters.
Could not agree more.
So you're going to have an opponent, or do have an opponent.
Yes, sir.
So why do you think the voters should choose you over your opponent?
Well, all I can really tell you is why I think I'll be good at the job. Why, and I think I've got, as I said, 30 plus years in Randall County. The bulk of those are in Precinct 1. So you can attach, the voters are going to attach whatever value they want to maybe to these points. I think that knowledge of the people, knowledge of the area is actually a plus. So we have that. Janie and I, we've lived there. We've raised our family. We actually left Timber Creek Canyon when I got the job as the athletic director at Wayland. I tried to actually do that job and keep my house because I love living out there. But you can't do that. And that wasn't fair to Wayland. So we ended up selling and moved to Plainview for a few years. And then, like I said, I was done and coming back, and we moved back I actually tried to buy my house back. Professor Posey at WT owns it. And I called him and said, hey, any interest in selling us that house back? We really like it. And he said, Rick, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell my wife when I pass away, man, I'll tell her to give you a call. So it was like there was no way. So he liked it too. And so we found some land out there along Cedar Way Canyon out there, and and that's what I back up to. And so we moved back to this precinct. So time in the precinct, and I think is important, and time in Randall County. And I wasn't born here, but I got here about as fast as I can get here. And I've got, my whole family is, both kids were born here in, they're all native Texans but me. I'm actually originally from West Virginia. But so I think it's important to say, so time in the county, I have experience working with large budgets. not as large as what Randall County has. So I know I was in that role. We had multiple programs, multiple demands, and some of that budget time was spent under combat conditions. COVID was tough. I know that money's always tight at a place like WT. They do a great job managing it there because they have great people. Money was very tight at Wayland. It wasn't as tight at Texas Tech, but it was. You still had to mind your P's and Q's and watch your budget. So I've got experience there with budgets. I have, and I think that's pretty important. That knowledge is pretty important to have. I have experience in other areas too, the hiring and the firing and large programs, small program management. I've worked with large teams and small teams, and I've been in positions where I've had to make those really hard decisions that you sometimes have to make.
Do they do zero-based budgeting at the commission, or are they just going off the previous year?
I don't think they go off the previous year. I think they go off, but I really don't know the answer to exactly what that budget process is like. And if I tried to make something up here or act like I did, I don't think that's right. I think it has to do with, I know there must be some consideration of what was spent last year, but I also have to believe that when you go to those department heads, and say, hey, we need a budget that's got to be based on what they have to run their area. And I also know
zero-based budgeting is a good idea.
That's basically all we've ever really done is zero-based budgeting, in my experience, at the places I've been, where you just basically say, look, this is what it's going to take to do this program at the level that we want to run it at. Well, I do think to answer your question, yes, I do think that's a good idea. I think that causes sort of a self-analysis. You have to analyze the program, do a self-analysis of what you have to have, and I do think it's a good idea. I think that in part keeps you from saying, well, this is what we did last year, let's add 5% to that and move forward. I think that's maybe a dangerous process sometimes. Again, we don't want to spend willy-nilly, and we want to know what we actually need and why we need that. Yeah. But to answer your question, I don't know exactly how that budget process runs here in Randall County. I'm looking forward to finding out.
Yeah, you'll know soon. Right?
Yes, I hope.
All right. Well, very good. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the voters before we wrap it up?
I really want this position. And I guess I should add too that one of the things I think is important and maybe makes me a little bit different is that I am, and you could look at this a lot of different ways. I'm fully retired though, and I have the time and the energy to give to this position. I think in some ways it's sold, and I don't mean sell's not the right word. There's some ways it's described as a part-time position. I know the county commissioners meet twice a month, I guess. Basically, but I think to do it right, there's going to have to be more work done. And I think with the county commissioners that I've talked to have all said it's more than that. So I've got the time, I've got the energy to devote to this. I really believe that I still have something to give back to the community, and I'd like to give back to our community. This community has been so good to me and my family. And again, this is a place that my kids will clean out my house someday, Dan. You know, it's that we're going to live here the rest of our lives, and I'd be very honored and very grateful to have the opportunity to serve the people of Randall County, and in particular Precinct 1. And the last thing I'd say, maybe to sum it all up, is if I get the job, if I'm fortunate to get elected, and it's an election, I know that I would consider myself very fortunate to win this election, is that I'm going to do the same thing I've always done, and that's try to work hard and work smart and listen to the people around me that I know in some instances are going to know a lot more about what's going on than I am. I'm a good listener. I'm going to try to be prepared by studying the issues. That's what we had to do, prepare for our opponents, prepare for whatever the issue was, and then I'm going to do what's very best for the team. And in this instance, that's the constituents and the voters and my friends and neighbors that live in Precinct 1 and Randall County.
Very good. Do you have a website or anything?
I do, yes, sir. CooperForCommissioner.org is our website, and there's information about my family and myself and on there. And we have a Facebook page too, Dan, but I do not do Facebook, and
I don't either.
so I don't know. We have a Facebook page, but I don't do it. But it's out there somewhere too. However, those people that do it know how to. They'll be able to go right to it.
CooperForCommissioner.org.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for coming by and having the courage to throw your hat in the ring and run for public office. That's to be commended, I think, because it does take some courage.
It does, and it's a job, and it's a family affair. And let me say this: I really appreciate what you're doing too. I think this is a great thing, and I know it takes time out of your day. So thank you for what you do.
We just want the voters informed and let them make the decision, because we trust the voters.
That's exactly how it should be. That's exactly how it should be.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, and good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you.